Greetings, Guardians, my name is Bife here. So, if you've played The Final Shape, you'll have heard a lot about the interaction between the light and the dark. In particular, you might have heard a lot about the interaction between the light and the dark as it pertains to the Traveler and what's happening within the Pale Heart. The changes that this interaction between the great paracausal forces have brought about will undoubtedly lead to many events in the future, not least of which are the release of the Echoes that have already started to cause a stir within Sol. But to perhaps understand what's happening to the Traveler in the aftermath of the Witness's defeat, we need to look more closely at its previous interactions with the light and the dark, and at what the Traveler's reaction has been. In particular, we're going to get an insight into the moment when the Traveler shed a part of its mortal self and left that shard in the middle of Europe's forests. But first, I wanted to give a huge thank you to Advanced GG, friends of the channel and sponsors of this video. We recently had the St. Jude Charity Marathon block come up, and in my 4-hour block, Advanced GG was generous enough to give away some swag as a part of the block for those of you who donated $20 or more. There was a raffle and there were 6 winners of that raffle. They will be drawn at the end of the entire charity marathon. However, for those of you who were winners within that, you will be soon receiving contact from St. Jude as well as a tub of some of their goodies, including sleep formula, focus formula, and maybe even some of my own branded merch. If you want to grab some of that for yourself though, you should check out my link down below and use code LawDaddy for 10% off of it. Their sleep and focus formulas are fantastic. They are the only supplements group that I recommend for a good reason. Their stuff actually works. And more importantly, they were willing to put their money where their mouth is and support St. Jude at no extra cost. That is a huge deal in my mind, so I'm very, very glad to be working with Advanced GG. If you want to grab any of my merch from them, or any of their formulas, go ahead and check the link down below, and thank you again to Advanced GG for sponsoring my channel and supporting St. Jude. Anyway, back to the lore. So I think we have to first understand what happened within the Traveler before we talk about light and darkness. We also need to understand an important distinction between the darkness and the corrupting force of the Witness. As we know through Destiny generally and the lore that's been told to us over the last few years, the light and dark are neutral forces not aligned with good or evil. But the Witness and its corruption has motive and method, and is certainly evil, at least by our definition and distinction. It is actively tearing apart the Traveler and wounding it. The best visible examples of this are the literal pus leaking from wounds in the Traveler that we see in the Liminality Strike. You ever wondered about the lava? Yeah, it's not lava. According to your ghost objectives, it's called purulence, which is another word for pus, and it leaks out of holes in the wall. You know, the flesh of the Traveler. Yeah, those are wounds. And the desiccated tree, of course, is something else that shows the obvious corruption of the Witness. The desiccated tree structure of Salvation's Edge that has been carved into a stigma of the Witness, but which was likely a tree of silver wings-like structure prior to that point. This is the most important thing to understand about this conversation. A distinction needs to be made between the darkness and the Witness's corruption. Of course, the combination of the light and the darkness within the Traveler has led to some remarkable changes all the same. The darkness creates imprints of one's memories and imagination, and the light then makes those imprints real and tangible. The combination of the mental and the physical within the Pale Heart has led to things that have never been seen before. But the present nature of the Traveler in front of us isn't something that we can understand by observation alone. That's where someone can come in and give us more context. And there is one person who can give us that context by gleaning it through insights from the Traveler itself. And that, of course, is Micah 10. Her insights are often shared with us thanks to the recovered visions of the Traveler that we find within the Pale Heart. These physical manifestations of memory look like smaller versions of the Traveler and can be interfaced with by Micah to reveal an interpretation of events involving the Traveler from the past. In particular, there are 2 moments at which we can see how the light and dark interacted with the Traveler. The first is clearly a moment from the collapse, where the witness has seemingly caught up to the traveler and perhaps even momentarily managed to merge it with the veil. That last bit is incredibly speculative, I would note, but only because there was absolutely a degree of darkness that interacted with the traveler. It's just not always clear if this was directly from the veil or if it was something of the witness. Regardless, the result was seemingly the same. The traveler felt the darkness becoming a part of itself. It felt the change within its heart. And the reaction was violent.
The traveler's memories and experiences are imprinted on this object. I will try to translate them as best as I can. I am afraid. Reunited with a family member, or no, terrified. I can feel. They do not want unity. They want stagnation. No, you can't do this. I won't let you. It spreads through me. Dark fingers. Memories. Remembrance of... What is this feeling? I do not want it. I shed the infection, and it drops to the world below. Storms rage in my cast-off flesh. Storms of recollection. I must stop this. I'm sorry.
There is no need to apologize for speaking miracles into being. Your gift is just that. Are you well?
I'll be fine. Thank you, Your Majesty.
Those last few experiences, the shed infection and the storms, it reminds me of the shard of the Traveler that looms over the EDZ.
I thought as much myself. Perhaps this memory was of the collapse, or a fusion of several similar memories.
Something for us all to discuss over tea, perhaps.
As is implied by Mara Sov here, this was almost certainly a recollection of the moment at which the Traveler shed a part of itself and created the shard that we now find in the European Dead Zone. Such a violent reaction to the interface of light and darkness is telling. The Traveler also gave us some insight into the fact that with the darkness interfacing with it directly, it had begun to momentarily remember something. This makes a certain degree of sense given the mental faculties that can be enhanced by the darkness. It is something that is well attuned to memory. Powers such as deep sight have been used by us when we have been enhanced by darkness, and they have allowed us to see into the past and to reveal hidden truths. But the Traveler shedding this infection, as it puts it, regardless of whether it originated from the witness or the veil, tells us that it has a strict aversion to such a state of change, or at least it did, back in this moment in time. It also makes me realize two things. The first of which is that the Traveler was remembering something terrible and a forgotten truth from long ago likely, but it would have started to do so again when the witness entered into the Pale Heart back in Lightfall, and made it scream. Imagine coming to just at the moment that you're on the torture rack. Something horrifying for certain. Another layer of torture for the Traveler to endure, in spite of everything else. The second note is that the implication that all of the Traveler's light, be it ghosts, guardians, or parts of itself, is connected is confirmed well by this idea, and yet it also isn't, because this darkness, this corruption, this infection, as the Traveler puts it, is shed. So is it possible for the light to exile a part of itself that it no longer remembers? And yet, if that is the case, is it maybe simply the fact that proximity to the Traveler and its direct connection to it is something that matters? Is that a factor that needs to be taken into account? And of course, Then you need to take a look at our own interactions with the Shard in the EDZ back in the Red War, which allowed us to regain the use of the light after Gaul had completed the cage. We were guided there by a vision of light, probably sent from the Traveler itself. And with that in mind, it makes you wonder what lengths the Traveler went to reach out to us in this manner, or whether it was some other part of the Traveler, the exiled part, still connected and yet somehow different. Now though, after the defeat of the Witness, after the light and darkness have been introduced into the Traveler for over a year, the two paracausal forces have combined and are beginning to spill forth from the Traveler like radiation. This aurora that's pouring forth from the Traveler has been given a name, the Valence. The area of its immediate appearance has been heavily guarded by Coalition vessels, and so far none have attempted to test the no-fly zone that they've created around this aurora from the Traveler. But that's not the only concern. There are, of course, the echoes, manifestations of darkness from the Witness and the light from the Traveler. Together, these paracausal wellsprings of power are memories made manifest, the past made real, and they have been ejected into the system at large and represent a huge problem for all the forces in Sol. Namely, if you can't claim an echo quickly enough, someone else is going to do it for you, and then they have a degree of dominance over the light and dark, a degree of dominance you are certain to not have. Those that claim the echoes can become worthy challengers to the Guardians, who also have their own grasp of the light and dark now, a force to be reckoned with. It's no surprise that many groups are now scrambling to get a hold of the echoes, or at very least to investigate them. And of course, there is the Traveler itself, which has had darkness introduced into it by the Witness. While the Witness's corruption fades, the darkness remains, because it is not the same as the Witness's corruption. And according to Micah 10, the introduction of that darkness has not brought about a corruption, but a transformation.
Echoes of the Traveler's experiences vibrate within this object. I can feel them, convey as much as I can to you. This experience is chaotic, changing, mutable. Matter and consciousness mingling. Dreams and memories given shape and form. There's something churning, boiling in the Traveler's blood. Transformation. Light and dark. A harmony. All that which is immaterial is material. That which could be is. Not born from a wish, but born from unconscious thought. The Traveler has been changed. Changed in ways we cannot undo. Not corrupted, not wounded, but transformed. And that change is still taking shape. It's happening right now.
Collisions of light and dark have always birthed new, previously unimaginable possibilities. We awoken were born of such a collision during the collapse. Time and space itself were rent apart in our birth. But to happen here, to happen to the Traveler, what will the aftermath of such a transformation be? What will be born of the union of light and dark? A new era rises in this shadow of uncertainty.
Micah's insight into the Traveler here tells us that the chaos of the change within the Traveler is not only permanent, but also has led to the arrival of a strange harmony between the forces of paracausality. This is something that was hinted to in the Veil containment logs long ago when Osiris and Nimbus were discussing paracausal forces. Take a listen.
I found no more logs from Dr. Essie, but I have used her algorithm to crack the data core of the Vex conceptual mind.
That's the doodad we got from the Black Garden, right?
Indeed. The data within contained the Vex's blueprints for their artificial veil, the Black Heart. It all but proved Dr. Essie's theory. Dr. Esty theorized that the paracausal energy of the Traveler operated on a quantum wavelength parallel to electrons.
Magnets?
In simpler terms, the Traveler's power runs parallel to the forces of nature. Gravity, magnetism, sound, light. The Veil does this too. It is synchronized with the Traveler. Wherever the Traveler came from, the Veil may have as well. But what the Vex made, while connected to the Traveler, was inherently flawed. It did not create the link the Witness desired. Instead, it weakened the Traveler, created static in the flow of their cosmic forces. But it did reveal one intriguing possibility. That at one time, they may have been united. Part of a whole.
So, wait. Does this mean the light and darkness were the same once? One force?
Dr. Essie believed so. I am not as convinced. But it is a theory. One many scholars will explore once this data is shared. But this data allowed me to calculate the telemetry of the beam the Veil fired at the Traveler. When the Witness linked to the Veil through a ghost, it created a faster-than-light connection of darkness to the Traveler's light. A bridge to the Traveler's consciousness, if it has one. But the beam did not stop at the Traveler, rather a point inside of it.
Inside? Wait, what's inside the Traveler?
No one knows. But if the data I've been able to extrapolate here is correct, that is where the Witness is now. Inside the Traveler. It may be the reason why the Traveler has gone dormant, its attention directed inward, where the true threat is. But I am speculating. There is more I need to study, but I fear it will take a substantially longer amount of time.
How long do you need?
Months. If we have that long left, that is. Until then, I suppose.
So the forces of paracausality run parallel to the laws of physics and to each other. And of course, there is the note that they might have been conjoined once, Veil and Traveler, a long time ago. This changed the Traveler, with the darkness introduced to it now, is not noted as being evil by Micah 10 though. Instead, it is almost seen as a good thing. The change itself, however, is not complete. It is still happening beneath our feet, before our eyes, within the Traveler's heart. The implications of this moment are bound to be immense. We won't see any of that for some time, though. But one thing we can be certain of is that because of the near-divine power that the Traveler holds, when the change is complete, the ramifications of it are likely to alter the universe itself forever, and all those that reside within it. It might not be the first time in all existence, but perhaps for the first time in a long time, something of light and dark in union has taken center stage. Within the Traveler's flesh, there is no longer just a memory or life. There is potential, born of both. We will have to wait and see what that potential will bring to us. But that's all from me for today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, go ahead and leave a like. And if you want more Destiny lore content, go ahead and hit subscribe, and the bell next to subscribe to turn on those email notifications. Also, down below in the comments section, I have a further question. Savathun seems to be tapping into this idea of the light and dark in combination. She says as much during Dual Destiny. She says that we should break the rules set in an arbitrary manner. What do you think she knows that we don't? Do you reckon that there is something going on that involves her more intimately with these great paracausal forces? If you think you have an idea, let me know in the comments section. But, as per usual, know that your viewership, as always, is quite enough for me, and that in the meantime, my name is Bife. Rhodacia ad Astra. I'll see you, Starside.